expressed are those of the panelists and do not reflect in any way those of the podcast partners, sponsors, or affiliates. Enjoy.
BoxingVoice.com.
Beyonce Productions.
I must be the greatest.
Let's get that done.
I've been here before and I know what it takes. Hard work, dedication, BoxingVoice.com. Man, well, he's the best.
Win, lose, or draw, we coming to fight. Can't nobody take that away from us. We're coming to fight.
They do what they can, I do what I want.
When you look at how he throws that left hook, it starts out really low. We're going to see what kind of character he has.
Oh, and the left and right by Maidana. And it's all Marcos Maidana here. A lot of those punches off his shoulder. I think anybody out there listening or the key, anybody who think that that's a dangerous deal to make, I think it's a perfect deal to make.
BoxingVoice.com.
That's it.
15 minutes. Can you be strong for 15 minutes? Can you? Listen, the concentration is leaving a little bit. Pick it up. Pick it up!
Some things about we got to deal with his body shots. I don't think you want to be that close to us. He's talking about letting the left hook go, then you won't take the left hook. Let's get that done.
Look, the fire's coming. Are you ready for the fire? Look, we're firemen. Okay. We are firemen! The heat doesn't bother us. We live in the heat. We train in the heat.
BoxingVoice.com.
Let's get that done.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another spontaneous edition of the Boxing Voice Radio. We got some great news. Two men that put on one hell of an all-action affair, reaching 2.1 million viewers on Fox. Julian J-Rock Williams dethroned Jarrett Hurd, the unified WBA, IBF, and IBO champion. Now Williams and Hurd will do it again, according to sources. And they'll be doing it in the Barclays Center December 14th. But let's not forget that Julian J-Rock Williams reminded everyone that all future opponents, he will be requesting at least 90 days of random blood testing by VADA. And I quote, "You won't be cycling off on me. Now we're going to find out who's really the best at 154 pounds." So if you're interested in this is exactly what we're going to be talking about. You know the number to call in, 1-425-569-5241. Press 1. One time voice shipping right here on the Voice of the People hotline. Don't forget to add Nestor Gibbs on Skype to be part of the show. Hey.
Beyonce Productions.
I speak it, believe it, receive it. Speak it, believe it, receive it.
BoxingVoice.com.
So when I stop him, y'all gonna say he was too weak. Oh my mic. He stayed out before he said when I stopped.
A man stand up for what he believes in, and when you stand up for what you believe in, you accept whatever consequences come behind it.
BoxingVoice.com.
Yo, welcome back to another edition of the Boxing Voice, and what up to everybody out there in the TBV universe. One of my favorite divisions in boxing, 154, junior middleweight division. And yes, we got a little rumor mill, a little sources says that possibly the rematch could be in Barclays on December the 14th. That's big. Not only is it a big rematch, but the rival teams are playing that same day. J-Rock is from Philly, so soar Eagles soar, and Hurd is from DC, where the Washington football team plays. I don't like their nickname, so I won't say it, but definitely a good weekend to put that fight. You can draw in a lot of NFL people who have a stake in the game and possibly get them to tune into that fight and have a little bit more bragging rights going into that game. But we'll talk about that and the rematch and BADA and how this fight could possibly play out in the rematch. What's going on, Ness?
What up? I mean, you see, always good to have a host that watches other sports, because I had no clue about any DC, Philadelphia rivalry, let alone other sports having something on the day before. What exactly?
Day after.
Oh, day after? So how's that help it?
If J Rock is from Philly, you can do things with him with the Philadelphia Eagles if they put it on Fox, because was the last fight on Fox, right, or was it on Showtime? It was on Showtime. Then all bets are off.
No, it was on Fox.
So yeah, Fox. No, you can the Eagles and the Redskins, or I hate saying that fucking name, the Washington football team, are two NFC teams. The NFC primarily plays on Fox, so you can have J Rock go visit his team and have them just pump him up and let people see him out there with the team and let them know that, hey, I got a big fight against the rivalry Washington football team and their big boxer guy, because we've seen Hurd at many Washington football games. So you can kind of play it like that, you know what I'm saying? Put them up against each other. Night before we got the big fight. Then the day of, Sunday we have a big game. So
what's your worries on Hurd being able to make this weight comfortably and come into this fight? I mean, there was rumors that he was supposed to move up had he not lost. Is he just coming back to get some get back and avenge that loss and putting himself in danger, or can he make this weight? What's your thoughts? And keep in mind, he got rid of his trainer.
Yeah, I don't have any worries about her making weight, because that's one thing that I've seen with her. Even though he's a bigger guy, he's never had a problem like making weight. He never had to come back to the scales and do it again. You know what I'm saying? So when it comes to him making weight, I don't know how he does it, but he does it in a way that works for him. And I feel the weight is not the biggest thing going into this fight. He's gonna have to sharpen up on some of them skills. You gotta stop putting your head down to the right side and holding it right there for J Rock to hit. You know what I'm saying? You gotta spice up your boxing. You gotta learn how to jab on the way in. Don't take shots on the way in. Don't let J Rock spin you around like he was. He was just changing the angles constantly on you. And you're going to have to get better on your inside fighting, too. We thought the inside fighting was going to be somewhere where you really, really took off, but it seems like J Rock had the upper hand on the inside fighting in that first fight.
I'm interested to see who he brings in to help him with that technical aspect, right? He needs a new trainer. He definitely left his old trainer. So who's it going to be? Who's it going to be for this fight? Who's going to get it right in one training camp? Yeah,
we haven't heard any names or seen anything in the news, so I wouldn't know, but it's probably be somebody in that DC area, maybe, you know what I'm saying? Somebody that we're not thinking about, somebody that we could possibly be overlooking. But do you have somebody online that you can see looking?
I do have Stephen Edwards, the trainer of Julian Williams, Breadman, a.k.a. Breadman, so I obviously want to thank him before we get him on. But since you wanted a suggestion, I don't know, Tank's trainer, right? Calvin Ford.
I was thinking about Calvin Ford, you know what I'm saying? I was going to say that name. He's in that area, but I hear that those gyms all beef with each other. So, if you ain't cool, you ain't ever going to be cool. Yeah, I don't know if you just go and trade gym, but go ahead and bring Mr. Breadman on.
Mr. Stephen Edwards, how are you? How are things going? And thank you for coming on and giving us the opportunity to interview you. I know you're busy just getting out the gym.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
Yep. Thank you. How you guys doing?
Good, man. Excited that you guys were able to hammer out. Well, allegedly, you don't have to confirm or deny, but the rumor is that Williams and Hurd will be back in the ring for a rematch December 14th, Barclays Center, and we're just ecstatic. We know the first fight peaked about 2.1. It turned out to be an all-action affair, and to see these two men get back in the ring without injury and so quick in the same year, we're excited as boxing fans. How about you for the potential possibility of this fight?
Sure. You're always excited to go out there and, defend your title and, more money, more status, more prestige. Hurd is a formidable opponent. It's just a great platform to be on. On our side, the fight is done. That's only thing we're waiting for now is for somebody to get back to us about the testing. As long as they test in a suitable period of time, then we're gonna fight in December.
So there would be no Manny Pacquiao versus Keith Thurman testing the last month. Just to save face.
No, I've been through that before in boxing, man. I'm not going through that again. You know, when we fought him, we had to go to his hometown. You know, we took everything that they gave us. We didn't complain about anything. We just said that, you know, the last thing that I asked for after everything came through was, is he willing to test? And I don't want to test for a little while. You know, I want to test for a considerable period of time because I feel like a clean fighter doesn't need a special start date to start testing. And they agreed, and we start testing in February, and the fight was in May. And I said the same thing this time. Obviously, we the champion, but, you know, we're not fighting in our hometown. We're not getting anything special. We should get more money. We won the first fight, clearly, but he has to test. Nobody's gotten back to me yet about the testing, and, you know, it's August right now, so within the next couple of weeks, you know, as long as they test, then you know, the fight is on. We good.
So they definitely have to solidify something by the end of this month because Julian Williams came out on his Instagram and said that he will be requesting 90 days random blood testing by VADA for anybody that he'll be fighting because he doesn't want anyone cycling off on him.
You're 100% correct. So as long as they do that, we good, and the fight is on. I don't think that's too much to ask. You know, for real, I could be a hard guy to get along with and say we had to go to D.C. and take all of the verbal abuse and all of the crap that we had to take. We should make you come to Philly, but we're not even doing that. The fight's not even in Philly. It's on neutral ground.
Why the fight not in Philly, though?
So,
like I know J-Rock
man,
really,
you
I
know
mean,
what?
he said after the first fight
he
that
does,
he will.
man, but, bro, let me tell you something funny. We didn't even get a post-fight press conference after we beat that boy. That's real rap. They didn't even give us a post-fight press conference.
I seen that. Y'all
There
were
was
like
no
in
podium.
kind of like a media
We was in
scrum.
the dressing room. Yes. Well, listen, we caught lift back to the hotel. So, but that kind of stuff, it makes Julian meaner. It makes him hungrier. It gives him motivation. If fighters need motivation, man, when you get money and you start making a little bit of money, you got to find a reason to get up early in the morning and put your body through the stuff that they put their body through. So that kind of stuff, I don't complain about it because it makes my fighter a very, very motivated man. And you need that, man, to deal with a guy like Jarrett Hurd because he can, you know, he's a really good fighter.
But
can you
elaborate?
I don't know why it's not in Philly.
Can you elaborate just a bit more on that? Because I'm looking from the outside in, and it's like, wait, they both got Al Heyman. Why would Williams not get the same treatment, especially if he got the win?
I don't know, man. You asking the wrong person. Julian is my guy, so I'm probably going to be biased. I don't think everything that goes, like, wrong is, like, the fault of Al Heyman. You know, Al is kind of, you know, he's not even at a lot of fights. You know what I'm saying? It's just, I think it's like there's just the structure of the A-side, B-side thing. I'm definitely not, you know, blaming Al because we got paid well for the fight, but it's just the structure of the A-side, B-side thing, and I don't think people was expecting Julian to win. You know, but, you know, that's neither here nor there. The fight's not in Philly because it's just not, and I don't even feel like complaining about it, to be honest with you. Maybe one day we will get a title fight. You know, Julian's a fighter, and we just gonna fight, man. You know, that's just that.
Are you happy?
It should be in Philly.
Are you guys happy as a team that this is the next fight, or would you have rather went on and done something else? I don't know what you got going. Is that hail? Because I know it's storming right now.
Yeah. Can you hear it?
Oh yeah, we hear
it.
Whenever
is
you're
hail.
not talking,
I'm in my car. Yeah, I'm in my car. It's hail going on. I don't mind fighting Jarrett Hurd again. You know, we shouldn't have to fight him again, but I don't mind fighting him again. You know, Julian was the mandatory, and when you're a mandatory, you shouldn't have to give it a rematch clause. But we found out that he was just the number one contender, and he wasn't the mandatory. I don't know if y'all remember the fight where he fought Nathaniel Gallimore in the Eliminator last year. He had beaten Nathaniel Gallimore. I thought we was the mandatory, but what they really made us was the #1 contender. So Jarrett Hurd got a rematch clause. I don't know if you guys know all the bylaws or the sanctioning bodies, but if you work your way up to a mandatory, there's no such thing as a rematch clause because you wasn't given a voluntary title shot. You kind of earned your title shot. So
Absolutely.
With the legal stuff or whatever, we gave him a rematch clause. But like I said, man, Julian is a fighter. And, if the guy get a rematch clause, even though we earned our title shot, it's no big deal because I look at it like we're going to get paid a lot more money to beat the same guy that we just beat up really bad in May. That's how I look at it.
Now, I know, look, you can't count your chickens before they hatch and everything, and Hurd is one difficult style person. He's tall, big, and everything, but there's been a lot of rumblings going on in the boxing community, specifically YouTube, obviously, Earl Spence interviews, Julian William interviews, and the possibility of a matchup between those two now. Obviously, Julian did great in the first fight, but can this Jarrett Hurd jeopardize a potential super fight with Earl Spence and Julian Williams?
Heck yeah, it could. The Earl Spence thing only got brought up. I don't know if y'all heard it. I was getting interviewed by some guys, and they're like really big on Earl Spence, and they were talking about a fight between two black fighters on Juneteenth, and they kept bringing up Earl Spence and Terrence Crawford. So I'm going to bring up the guy that I work with. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to help promote another fight of guys that I don't work with. So I said, listen, you guys are talking about Earl Spence and Terrence Crawford, but Julian Williams and Earl Spence got the same management team, and you can have Unified 147 versus Unified 154. Dallas Cowboys versus the Philadelphia Eagles. Since they was playing matchmaker, I just played matchmaker. So things took a life of its own. But obviously we got to win the Jarrett Hurd fight, and we'll see. But Jarrett Hurd is a really tough opponent, and I don't even want to talk about nobody else, man. The fight, Julian may have won a lot of rounds in the fight, and people think that he dominated, but we had to go through a lot in camp to get in that kind of shape to fight somebody like Jarrett Hurd because he's big, he's strong, he's awkward, he comes to fight, he really puts a lot of pressure on you. He's not an easy fight. He's getting a lot of criticism now because that's just the way fans are. But everybody who says something bad about Jarrett Hurd, I always ask them, who did you have winning the fight when the fight was announced, the first fight? Because most people thought that he was going to kill Julian. But now they're turning their back on him. So, I'm careful about that kind of stuff. It's my job to never let Julian overlook anybody.
Speaking of the politics of boxing, since Julian Williams has won the championship, both titles, honestly, has there been any other offers from any kind of promoters or networks that you are aware of?
I really don't want to talk about that kind of stuff publicly for obvious reasons. But he is a sought after commodity at this point.
Okay.
What's the likelihood of a unification with the Jaime Munguia looking like, or do we always have to consider the politics of boxing when thinking of cross broadcasting?
Oh man, that's a great question. I would love the Jaime Munguia fight. It's a fight that I actually asked for, but it just doesn't look like that it's going to be feasible. To be honest with you, we've already agreed to fight the winner of Harris and Charlo. So, Julian don't get an easy road, man. That's another tough fight. But I would love Jaime Munguia, but it just doesn't look like it's possible. It's something that I was very, I wanted to fight. But some things are bigger than me, brother. Trust me. You know what I'm saying? So it doesn't look like we're going to be able to get that fight.
You spoke about the winner of Harrison and Charlo, right? And, I don't want to be the one to add something into the mix and ruin that possibility, but at what point does your fighter or a fighter become pay-per-view worthy, right? Does it matter if you're on pay-per-view as long as they're paying you the pay-per-view money? Or does it matter to get on pay-per-view because you could only get pay-per-view money on pay-per-view? And I only say that not really knowing whether Charlo Harrison winner and Jarrett Hurd Williams winner is a super fight worthy of pay-per-view. But if they got Mikey and Earl on pay-per-view and they doing Pacquiao versus Broner and Pacquiao Thurman, that was worth it. But Pacquiao versus Broner, I mean, we might as well start trying some new talent on pay-per-view.
You know what, Ness? I appreciate that because I agree with you. We kind of got a blueprint that I kind of like diagrammed in my head. Obviously, it's one fight at a time, but I got maybe a 3 or 4 fight plan for Julian that will get him on pay-per-view. Obviously, the money is a little different on pay-per-view because it's not a set price. You get kind of, how and with the Jarrett Hurd Julian Williams fight, it was a very exciting fight.
You cut out right when you was teaching us, son. You said the pay-per-view model is set up differently. Why?
The pay-per-view model is set up differently because, a lot of your money is predicated on how well the pay-per-view does, how many buys it does, and then, the promotional company and the fighter works out a deal as far as how much they get off of each buy. So the pay-per-view is really a popularity contest, whereas if you're fighting on Fox or you're fighting on Showtime, you already know what you're going to get 2-3 months ahead of time. So, there's kind of a salary cap on that. If you see a guy that's fighting on Fox or Showtime all the time, unless it's extended circumstances, you get roughly between $2 and $3 million if you're headlining all the time. But on pay-per-view, your base pay may be $2 or $3 million, but you'll get some back-end money as far as how many buys your pay-per-view did, which could, you could wind up walking away $5, $6, $7, $8, $9, $10 million as it goes up. So with the Hurd Williams fight doing 2.1 million viewerships, you guys got to know that I'm using that as a bargaining chip for later on. Because, obviously at the end of the day, you want to be financially secure in this business. Julian is 29. In a couple of years, he's going to be looking at retirement. So you want to make as much money as you can during your prime years. I definitely agree that the winner of Harrison versus Charlo and the winner versus Hurd versus Julian is pay-per-view worthy because we've seen lesser fights on pay-per-view. I'm not going to call out no exact names and disrespect anybody, but that's a really, really good fight. And considering how good of a fight that Julian and Jarrett put on in the first fight, is probably leading candidate for fight of the year. The big bucks got to start rolling in anytime you laying your ass on the line for that kind of you know what I'm saying? You taking that kind of punishment and you putting on that kind of show, because a lot of pay-per-view fights, they a lot of times they're duds. They don't be really good fights. Pacquiao and Thurman was a really good fight, but for the most part on pay-per-view, it's not always good fights. So we got about a 3 to 4 fight little map out with Julian where we're looking for a big pay-per-view fight, and we got the opponents going in succession. So hopefully it works out for us. But I appreciate that though, Ness.
Now with that 3 or 4 fight map out, are all those fights are going to be at 154, or are you guys looking to move up to 160 anytime soon?
In about 3 or 4 fights, we're looking for the Jarrett Hurd, obviously the Spence here, and we're looking for a big name coming up from 147, and then after that, I'm going to move him up. He'll be about 30 at that time, which is always a good time to move up. Your body, your metabolism starts slowing down a little bit.
What do you make of Jarrett Hurd firing his trainer after the loss to you guys? Because we seen Julian Williams have a hiccup, but he stayed with his guy.
Stay with you.
You know what I'm talking about.
I don't really know because I don't know what went on. I think Nesto's a really good trainer. He's a nice guy. I think Jarrett's a good kid. It's hard to say because I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. I don't know whose fault it was. I don't know what kind of camp it was. So I don't like to speak on things that I don't know. But from a general perspective, you kind of see fighters when they kind of lose pretty bad. they gotta blame somebody. But I don't know if Jarrett is that kind of guy. You know what I mean? So I can't say anything good or bad about it because I don't know what happened, and best of luck to them, and whoever else takes over the job.
What
I want
do
to
you
bring you
guys?
back. Hold on, Mike. One for one.
I mean, bro, you was going
You
now.
got
Hold
an
on. Now.
automatic on your gun over there. So I want to bring you back to that pay-per-view model, and I want you to just continue to educate us and our listeners. Because wasn't it rumored like Earl got 20 mil for that Mikey fight? So is that all bogus and impossible due to the amount of pay-per-views that were sold?
I don't think. I think that. I mean, obviously Earl got a back-end check because that's the way pay-per-view was set up. You get your money the night of the fight, and then you get a back-end check when everything comes in, when all the buys and stuff register up with the pay-per-view.
And let people know, like, the buys just don't include like the U.S. buys. They include the U.K. buys, the closed circuit TV.
That depends on the structure of your deal. You know what I mean? It don't always have to include that. But if you got a good team behind you, they know how to generate revenue from different places. The sponsorships, the deals, like if you're fighting a guy from the Philippines, whatever overseas money come in. If you fight, believe it or not, Canadian money is a lot of money with that because all of their fights are on pay-per-view. So you got guys like Jane Pascal and Lucian Bute. They make a lot of money, regardless of what we may think. Those guys get extra checks because everything is on pay-per-view over there. Going by the buys with Mikey and Earl, people like to add sauce on it. I don't believe Earl got 20 million, but I do believe he got paid well. You know what I mean? I think he made some good money on the back end money, but not $20 million worth. That fight would have had to do a lot of pay-per-view buys because it's broken down like this, whether you guys know it or not. The networks take half because they putting it on, so Fox or Showtime, and then the fighters, or the teams or whatever take the other half. So I'm just going to do round numbers. If it's $50 to pay for the fight, and it does a million buys, then that's $50 million. Fox would take $25 million, and then the promotional will take the other $25 million, and then y'all start breaking up the money from there. You get what I'm saying? So, I ain't gonna say Earl got freaking 20 million because Mikey got to get paid. The promoter got to get paid. The big people got to get paid. I think that's a little bit of a stretch, but I'm not. I don't want to count nobody else's money. I think he did well.
Well, I mean, not that you want to, but in a way, you have to because you're already saying that your 3-fight plan is a popular welterweight moving up. There's no more popular welterweight. I mean, unless Crawford's going to move up and cross the street, we could only be talking about Earl fighting Julian if he moves up. So those numbers mean something because he's going to come with a mandatory minimum that's only going to raise yours, right? Or it doesn't work that way?
Sure. I mean, his minimum don't really have nothing to do with us, but you're right. You're right. In contrast, what you would say is, what did Earl do versus Mikey? How many views did Julian and Jarrett got? Whose belts are on the line? Where's the fight going to be? It's a lot of little things that go on there, but you guys are smart guys. You kind of got the module figured out. You know what I mean? If it's Julian and Earl fighting in say 2020, and our belts are on the line, and we got to go to Dallas, and Julian is the bigger guy, where Earl will be moving up to fight his belts, it will probably be about a 50-50 split, or maybe 55-45, maybe in Earl's favor. You know what I mean? He's probably a little bit more popular than Julian is right now. And I'm a pretty honest person, and he's already been on pay-per-view before. But Julian is an excellent fighter. He brings a lot to the table, and his belts will be on the line. And if we would have to go to Dallas, obviously you got to be compensated for going to a guy's hometown. So you're right. I mean, you kind of base things off of that. That's what Mayweather and Pacquiao was posturing back and forth, who did the most pay-per-views and things like that. So Earl will probably be a little bit of the A side in the fight. And, we will go from there and see what's what. But you're talking about a whole year, some fights down the road. Earl got tough fights ahead of him, and Julian got tough fights ahead of him. So we got to see what's going on.
Let's just say y'all get past your 3 or 4 fight plan unblemished, and you move up to 160. How likely is a Jamal Charlo rematch in you guys' eyes? Because the first fight let me just tell you, that was a high-level boxing chess match for the first 3, 4, 5, I think it went like 4 rounds. And until he got caught, Julian was doing relatively good in that fight. So I just want to know, has there been any talk about Julian wanting that rematch when he goes up to 160?
Well, I'm glad that you said that, man, because they, over at Showtime, they make it seem like he got hit with one punch and was dominated and the fight was over with. You know, nobody never want to talk about what happened leading up to the fight, leading up to him getting caught with the great shot. But, yeah, you know, you definitely want to get that back. We talked about it. They're in 2 different weight divisions right now, but we will be moving up soon. And that's something that Julian wants. You know, he definitely wants it. There's 2 guys he wants to fight at 160, and that's Canelo, and he wants to fight Jamal. So he definitely want that back. You know, he knew the mistake that he made. We haven't been caught with that punch since then, and I think he's a much improved fighter. And we want it. You know, we want it back. We gonna fight his brother. You know, so. We want all that. We definitely need that back. A real fighter want to get that back. That's one of the reasons why I was so confident in the Jarrett Hurd fight, believe it or not, because people was judging Julian on one microcosm of his career. You know, that was a great punch that Jamal hit Julian with. You know, and not a lot of people would have got up from that punch. Not a lot of people would have took that shot. That could happen to anybody. And if you
got up too quick. He got up way too quick.
Yep. Yes. But he had the heart to get up. So a lot of times dudes, man, they get hit with big shots and they act like they're more hurt than what they are because they don't want to be in the heat no more. But Julian's, his natural reaction was to get up and keep fighting. I'm going to be honest, I was going to stop the fight. He looked at me and winked. And I'm like, fuck, man, I'm going to give him a chance. I was going to throw the towel in. You know what I'm saying? So when everybody was talking about Hurd was going to do this and Hurd was going to do that, I'm like, first of all, Jamal's more explosive and powerful than Hurd. Second of all, Julian got up from that shot. So I know the kind of heart that he got and what he got on the inside of him. So when everybody thought he was going to get killed and it was a 5-1 favorite, I'm like, if that Jamal Charlo fight never happened, who would be the favorite if Julian and Jarrett ever fought? Because Julian's the more skilled fighter. But I was just humble going into the fight, and I let people say what they had to say because at the end of the day, the guys had to fight. But as you saw when they got in the ring, you know, if you're a real fighter and you got character, you don't let one loss like that define you just because all of these idiots on social media think they can say whatever they want to say without any kind of repercussion. You know what I mean? Because that's the reason why these kids don't want to take chances in fights because, you know, social media is so brutal. You know, but I told Julian, man, listen, you knocked out a lot of guys. You embarrassed a lot of people. You got to hold your chin up and you got to take that till we get back on that stage and, you know, get it back. We can't run and hide and never, you know, and erase your social media accounts and walk around with a mask on your face. It's boxing. One day, you know, anybody can get caught. Better fighters than Julian then got caught. Roy Jones, how good is he? He got caught. Roberto Duran then got caught. Shit happens in boxing. You know what I mean? You can't let these people define you. So we had that talk, and that was just that. You know, and, you know, what happened. But to answer you directly, we definitely want that back.
So I just want you to let us know a little bit of how it feels now being under that Fox broadcast because, you know, you've been around for Friday Night Fights. I mean, for those that don't know, you started off working with, you know, Ken and Sean Porter. So, like, you've been around all the networks and broadcasts, and now you're on Fox. What's the difference for you as a trainer, and what do you think the difference is for your fighter now being on that platform?
You asked us some good questions today, man. You know what? I don't really, obviously, if you're at the fight, you can't see the fights. So when you go home and you listen to the broadcast, you kind of get a different feel than being at the fights and being in the corner. Throughout the years, you kind of get good relationships with different people that you work with. Like, I really like Steve Farhood and Al Bernstein and, you know, the guys over at Showtime, Paulie Malignaggi and the rest of the crew. Those guys are really cool. And the guys at Fox are cool. Joe Goosen was cool. Lennox Lewis is a great guy. I mean, some guys said a couple of things that I didn't like, you know, but that goes, you gotta, you gotta roll with the punches, you know, because there is an A side, there is a B side, and you know, you gotta kind of, a broadcast is not going to ever be 100% objective, so you got to understand that. Like, I love Showtime, but I think that they just did something to Julian that was really slimy. You know what I mean? But I love the guys that work for Showtime. It may not be out of their control. A couple of months ago, they asked Julian to go speak at this engagement in Atlanta or something, and he came down there and he did it. And the whole time they was producing this commercial with Jamal Charlo and Ronnie Shields about the punch that he caught Julian with, and they was producing a commercial. And listen, if you put your ass on the line and you take tough fights, there's a chance that you could be part of a highlight, and I get that and I understand that. But that fight was 3 years ago. When have you ever seen a network do a special on a special punch that a guy lands from 3 fucking years ago? So the whole time they had Julian out there speaking in front of
Let me interject there, because I try to remind people about the Pedrazas of the world, and now Julian Williams. Like, when you fail,
Andy Ruiz,
and you come back to greatness, they're gonna use your name because it's clout chasing. Like, Julian's is hot right now. He was able to bounce back.
Fine.
He was able to bounce back from that punch. So
you know what? And that's fine. But the problem that I have with it is when you call the kid out there and you tell him how you want him back on the network and this, that, and the other, and the whole time you producing a commercial to humiliate him. That's the problem that I had. Don't tell me that nobody could have said, like, look, man, listen, this shit might, you may not like this too much, but we are doing this commercial. They act like they wanted him back on Showtime. And then the whole time they was doing a commercial to humiliate him. Julian called me and said, man, they set me up. I didn't have to go out there to Atlanta and speak with these kids, man. I just had elbow surgery. I'm trying to rest up. I just did it on the strength that they always been fair with me. You know, but that's part of the game. But you know what? It happens now, and that's the other part of the game is we winning now. So maybe they want us to come back one day. The price going to have to go up when you humiliate us like that. So it goes back and forth. Because he felt some type of way about the commercial. I got about 15 calls that said, damn, why would they do that 3 years later? And have the kid out here speaking at speaking engagements and stuff. I said, that's the way the ball bounces. You know, that's why you can't fall in love too much with any, like, big entity in boxing, because it is a business at the end of the day, and you only are as good as your last performance. And I get that and I understand it.
Well, I get it, man. I just felt like it's got to be because he bounced back to greatness, man. So they you know they understand that he's not just anybody that fell over. This is a dude that is capable of becoming a world champion again. Depends on when that commercial come out. I ain't even see it. I don't know which one you talking about.
There was a commercial talking about the anatomy of a punch. So it went through when Jamal hit Julian with the uppercut.
I seen that shit. Yep, I seen it.
Okay, let me ask you a question,
it's
my
a
man.
beautiful
Did you feel
punch,
that the timing of that was a little peculiar?
I mean, look, I'm gonna be real with you. When you only have, I'm not gonna say only, but when that's your biggest highlight and your biggest knockout, and they're trying to promote you like the proper way and try to get the views in, because like it's not them wanting to promote Charlo in a sense. It's them wanting to draw people in and have them watch him fight. And by doing that,
I got a better one, Mike. I got a great metaphor. Think about the zone. If anybody should feel disrespected, it would be the AJ to the zone. Immediately, they made like CGI graphics. I mean, they did memes. They did video. They released the fight on YouTube. Like, but they understand that knockouts sell, upsets sell. Like, it's no different than 20 years ago. You know, TV producers using sex to sell everything. You know, women dress in nothing. It's to sell. So now it's the knockout punch.
I get it, Ness. I get it, Ness, and we've been watching that knockout for 3 years. I just
90 seconds.
Jamal Charlo fought 4 times since then, but that's fine. Like, y'all asked me a question about Showtime and Fox, and that was my answer.
Yeah, but 4 times and nobody on that caliber or with that name. Like, come on, Korobov. Who? Brandon Adams? Like, that's what I'm
There you go.
saying. And no disrespect to them.
None of them guys.
But look, Korobov never became world champion. Julian has. Brandon Adams, as great as he is, I watched the Bucksino
60 seconds.
where he fell to Willie Monroe. I seen him come back on a contender, look beautiful. But he never been a world champion. And he was a 154-pounder at his best moving up. Both times he lost to Monroe and to Jamal was moving at 160. Yes, he was at 160 for some time in the contender, but those are 5-round fights. Again, when you dissect their resumes, it's not Julian Williams. Like, Julian Williams was red hot before he lost to Jamal. That was a great fight.
That's fine. That's fine. It's just, we kind of on the same page, but our opinions differ a little bit. I thought the timing of it was a little bit, I thought it was clout chasing, and I thought that somebody could have let the kid know, just like, look, man, we about to do this. But that's cool. Like I said.
Yeah, I do agree with you, though. Like, don't invite me out.
10 seconds.
And have that shit. Like, I ain't feeling that either. Like, don't invite me down there. Don't need me down there.
You gotta know he's not gonna be happy about the damn thing. You gotta know that he's gonna be like, damn, I was just with all these producers. So, if it was me, I'll be like, I would have pulled him to the side, like, look, you can't tell us what's gonna be on our network, but I am gonna give you the common courtesy to let you know there's gonna be something that you don't like. But that's fine. They did what they did, and we're gonna do what we gotta do if the opportunity ever presents itself.
Yeah, you gotta get yourself a highlight, man. Get a highlight over on Jarrett. They gonna use that.
Hey, man, we'll see. All I've been saying is replays of him and Tony Harrison from 3 years ago on Fox. Julian called me last night and said, "Damn, man, they showing him and Tony Harrison, and I just kicked his ass 3 months ago." But that's
what differences are
it's a Philly thing, man. It's a Philly thing.
You always need that as a fighter. You know what I mean? It makes things easier for me. And y'all might laugh at this, but it's the truth, man. All fighters aren't real fighters at heart. Some of these dudes are strictly in this game to get a little bit of money, man, and sit back and just take opportunities, and they don't care about legacy or getting better or challenging themselves. Julian still care about that shit. He's still honorary. He still take things personal. He still is motivated to train hard, because training is way harder than the fight. It's brutal what these guys got to put their body through with the losing weight, waking up in the morning, abstaining from sex, strength and conditioning, eating like low-calorie meal. It's brutal. So I'm still glad that he's still motivated. Like, man, they think that what I did was a fluke, and they still want to promote him like he won the fucking fight. Okay, I'm going to show him. I'm glad that he got that kind of attitude about himself, man, because it makes my job easier. Because some kids, man, I got to, almost lie to motivate them. I don't have to do that with him.
I want to ask you a question, Britt, man. Me and Ness had this debate about a week ago, and we were debating on same-day weigh-ins, or should fighters be allowed to use a IV pack? What's your thoughts on that? If they're trying to do something to make sure deaths and things don't happen in the ring, like what we seen couple weeks ago.
Man, y'all guys asked the best questions I had in the interviews I had in a long time. First of all, I've been part of a lot of professional boxing matches, and first thing they have to do is get the commission more knowledgeable. The guys that are in the back, all of those guys don't know the rules with wrapping of the hands. They don't know the rules of who should be in the dressing room and who shouldn't, and those rules should be universal. I've had times, man, where I was at a commission, I'm not going to say where it was at, they gave me the wrong ounce gloves for the kid that I had. Karan Davis was fighting. He was fighting at 160 pounds, and they gave me 8-ounce gloves. And everybody knows that 160-pounders don't use 8-ounce gloves in this era. It's too small. They can hurt somebody. And I had enough integrity. I handed the guy the gloves back and was like, man, he can't use these gloves. He's going to kill somebody in these little-ass gloves. But the dude didn't know no better. We once fought Freddie Hernandez on Fox Sports 1 up in Boston, and they wrapped his hands before we got to the dressing room. Well, he had one of the guys in the dressing room that was with Margarito, part of their team. And I told him, I said, we not wrapping this. He can't wrap his hands without us seeing it. So we had to cut his tape off and do it all over again. He was pissed off, you know what I mean? And come to find out, he didn't have loaded wraps or anything like that, but he had tape on his skin. He had gauze, tape, then gauze, which anybody knows in boxing is called stacking the wraps. But the guys up in New England, they don't do a lot of fights. They just was a little confused, and I said, it's no problem, but they got to just rewrap it or we not going to fight. And I explained to them the rules. So the first thing they got to do, man, they got to get these doctors and the guys in the commission got to do a better job. You guys probably don't agree with this, but I'm up on this kind of stuff because I got to deal with fighters every day. And I actually talked to the lady that runs VADA. Her name is Margaret Goodman. She's Dr. Margaret Goodman. Y'all should have her on y'all show. She'll educate you on a lot of things. But if you consume something orally, it's just as good or better than IV, believe it or not. She'll tell you that. It's a common misconception that IV dehydrates you better, but she'll tell you that that's a little bit of a myth. If you consume it orally, it's the same thing. So I think that we don't have to go back to the same day weigh-in because what will happen is guys are not going to move up. What they're going to do is try to squeeze down and try to find other ways to make the weight, and guys are going to start getting killed. Because I'll be honest with you, Julian couldn't fight in the same day weigh-in and fight at 154. Not right now. He could have when he was younger, but not right now. He just couldn't. He couldn't get everything back in him. And most of these guys, they'll lie to you, Ness, but I'm telling you the truth. Most of these guys walk around 15 to 20 pounds over. Some of the guys like Jarrett Hurd, they take it to the extreme. But 15 to 20 pounds over, their weigh-in weight is common. So if you got a welterweight, he's going to be about 165. And nobody's going to admit that, but I'm telling you it's the truth. If you got a fucking junior middleweight, he's going to be about 170, 175. The big ones be about 180, 185. I'm telling you the truth. So if they did that, these guys are not going to move up. What they're going to do is they're going to stress their body out more, and they're going to pick up little things from MMA and stuff where you drink a bunch of water and then pee it all out and sit in this room and sit in that room and get the last little bit of weight out, and people are going to get hurt more. You just got to just educate people on rehydrating. A lot of these trainers just don't know no better. They get these fucking dudes Gatorade after the weigh-in. I see dudes eating pizza. They just don't know how to rehydrate. There's different things you could do with rehydration as far as having different kind of salts in your body, the whole water, and doing different things, and allows the water to get back on your brain in the 36 hours before the fight. I think that trainers need to be more educated, and I think the guys in the commission have to be more educated. And more importantly, the doctors have to be more educated, because when you got guys that's cutting weight and then they go in there and then they taking punches, because that's 90% of the problem that's happening. You're cutting too much weight, the water's not getting back on your brain, then you're taking punches in a long sustained fight, and then you're getting brain damage and you're getting hurt. So the doctors, they got to examine these guys before the fight, and it'll let you know when the guy is dehydrated and something is not right. You know, so it's a collective thing. But I don't think you should go back to the same day weigh-in, because I don't think the fighters will move up. Because every 99% of the fighters in boxing should, if it was same day weigh-ins, they will be a weight higher. And they're not going to do that. Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather are rare fighters where they pretty much walked around at their weight. A fighter will lie to you and tell you that he does, but nobody does that in this era.
But that's there won't be no clear danger if hypothetically everybody moved up. At the end of the day, you know, if Julian ain't a 54 and he go to 60, he gonna be still fighting the fake 54s that's there, moving all to 60. He's still gonna fight Jaime, you know, at 60. And not only that, there should be a committee of like trainers and things like that, because how many amateurs don't you know? Like, how many of you gonna tell me you didn't watch Javonta coming up? You didn't know Farmer? Like, you didn't know these guys in your area? So what I'm saying is, like, with enough trainers in the committee, you guys could police each other. Like, no one is really in the amateurs and then all of a sudden comes to the pros and they're heavyweight. Like, it's hard to throw on or take off a bunch of weight.
I agree. Boxing has to be more universal. Everything is too separate. It's separate commissions. I mean, just think about this, Ness. Have you ever seen a job where you determine the drug testing? In boxing, the fighters have to agree upon the drug testing. Just think about that. In football, they don't do that. You get tested, you get busted, you get suspended. Baseball, basketball, and your job, if you got a civil service job, you go in there, you piss in the cup, if it's hot, then you get suspended from work. Boxing is the only sport where you tell them when you're going to drug test, when you're going to stop drug testing, and who you want to drug test against. So we need more universal rules in boxing. It's almost like a joke. Anybody can circumvent the rules in boxing. And believe it or not, the suspensions don't have enough teeth. Because at the top level, you fight once every 6 months. So suspending
And
the
they
guys
retroactive,
using
too.
drugs for 6 months is no big deal. Especially with a retroactive suspension.
Yeah, they don't do nothing.
And don't think that these people don't know this. These guys are smarter than I am. These guys got all kinds of degrees and shit. They know this. They do it on purpose.
So let's say Julian Williams is fighting fighter A. In 36 hours before the fight, fighter A has something in his system. But he gets cleared by a panel that we don't know about. You think that fighter A and his promoter and team should notify Julian Williams, or let them just say, "Oh, he got cleared, so he can fight"?
No, you should be notified of something that's in somebody's system. It should be up to the fighter whether. You know what? Let me take that back. It shouldn't be up to the fighter, because here's the thing. There's another problem that I got with boxing. Sometimes it's up to the fighter whether he wants to fight or not if a dude was on something, right? It shouldn't be up to the fighter, because most fighters at the top level, you spend a lot of money in camp, whether you guys know it or not, with the sparring partners, paying for people plane tickets, nutrition, whatever. Camp is an expense. We actually get a side check for camp. So once you get, and you go all the way through the camp, you're going to want to fight. That's a fighter's mentality. So if you leave it up to the fighter, they're going to say, let's fight. It shouldn't be up to the fighter. It should be a rule that's in place. And I'm not saying the rule should be no fight or fight. What I'm saying it should be up. Money always dictates everything. Like I was there when Eric Morales tested hot versus Danny. They had sold tickets. They was in Brooklyn. They let Danny fight a dude that was using PEDs. Morales was just old and shot. I think you should be notified, but I think that it should. I think that that the commission should make the rule, and you can't just leave it up to the fighters and their teams, because most people want to get paid. You been working for 10 weeks without getting paid. You want to get paid at the end of the night. The commission only gives you a check if you fight.
Absolutely. I just got one last question for you. What different kind of Jarrett Hurd are you expecting in this next fight? Are you going to expect him to fight more on the inside, or is he going to try to switch up and box on the outside and try to use his height and reach advantage?
I'm expecting a monster, man. I expected one in the first fight. That's why we trained so hard. Jarrett Hurd is already training. We 4 months out. I seen he's already motivated and cut his hair off. He got a new team. I'm expecting a monster. That's what I'm expecting. I'm expecting him to try to use his jab. I'm expecting him to try to be stronger, because I think it's surprising that Julian was stronger than him. So I'm expecting him to work on his strength. I'm expecting him to work on his stamina, because Julian was the fresher fighter going down the stretch. I'm expecting him to work on his jab, because that's what everybody is telling him, that he needs to work on his jab. I'm expecting a monster. Just because you beat a guy one time, that don't mean you can beat him twice.
But what did y'all do? Because Julian actually took the inside fighting, which I thought may have been an advantage for Jarrett Hurd, and he made it look relatively like he was the bigger, stronger guy in that fight.
Well, he always was the more skilled fighter. You know what I mean? You just don't really know those. We always believed it. You just don't know it until two guys get in the ring together. We really didn't do anything special. Julian is just a more skilled fighter than Jarrett, and I don't know what Jarrett thought Julian was. I guess he thought he was some kind of turkey, that he was going, punch in the face a couple of times and just go out, you know. So I can't speak for Jarrett, but Julian always had inside skills, man. He always had a nasty inside game. He always had a nasty outside game. But I knew we wasn't going to go in there and run from Jarrett. That's what I knew we wasn't going to do, you know, because Jarrett Hurd cuts the ring off good. He puts good pressure. He did really well with Laura. You know, when you move, he'll run you out of the ring. And we was in his hometown. And, you know, I didn't announce our game plan, but I knew we wasn't going to go in that ring and just run around from that man and, you know, get ran out the ring in his hometown because they would have booed us out the stadium. So, you know, maybe Jarrett was reading his own press clippings and he thought he was a monster. And, you know, and we looked at him as a monster. And he is a monster. It's just that Julian's a monster, too. You know what I'm saying? You know, and that's just what it was. And we was the better man on that night. But I'm expecting Jarrett Hurd to make some adjustments. As much as Julian won, you know, Jarrett had his moments. So I'm expecting him to make some adjustments. I'm expecting him to do a lot of good things. I'm expecting them to hire a good team around them. And, you know, and I'm expecting a really, really tough fight come December.
So, obviously, because I know that you deal with Snack for Julian, and like you said, you know, Margaret Goodman, Avada, and you guys have always been very vocal about drug testing. I wanted to get your take on the Dillian White, Oscar Revis situation, because obviously we love to speculate here. That's how we get paid. The better the headline, the better for us, right? So we believe it's unfair that Revis wasn't told about the situation. We believe it's shady that he had a secret meeting at, Saturday morning before the fight. We believe it's odd that Russ Abner, someone who's very respected in the boxing community, not only as a trainer but as a glove manufacturer, you know, he picked his gloves. They had a glove meeting, and Dillian White was able to come into the ring with his own gloves of choice that weren't the chosen ones on that night. So just a lot of stuff happened. So if you could just give me your take on any of that, but specifically the adverse finding of Dianabol, which is obviously an illegal drug here in the United States.
And the gloves.
That's why I talked about the rules being universal, because this is the second time, if y'all remember with Billy Joe Sanders, where, you know, some things was legal over in the UK, but it wasn't legal here and all that kind of stuff. This is not Dillian White's first time testing positive or having something in his system that wasn't right. We could speculate, you know, they're trying to make it a big gray area. But as far as I'm concerned, either you dirty or you clean. I don't think you can have a gray area with being dirty or clean. I think that Oscar Revis got a tough deal, but that's the way the A side and the B side works in boxing. I was just telling y'all that. Sometimes when the guy's on the A side and he's the favorite of the promoter, he'll get special privileges. The glove thing is just, I mean, that's just unbelievable. When I heard that, I just couldn't believe it. I mean, that's just, if I'm Oscar Revis, I'm suing.
Have you ever went into a opposing like locker room and seen somebody being gloved up and wrapped up already?
Once with Freddie Hernandez, one time. Yep, one time, and I told him they had to take it off. I just can't believe the glove thing, man. It's just bad on a lot of levels, man. It really is. I don't even know what to say about that. I think Oscar Revis got screwed over. I wish he'd have won the fight. I think he really got screwed over. I feel bad for the kid. I met him before. We fought in Canada a few times. He's a nice kid. I think he got screwed over completely, man. I just can't believe that they did that to the guy.
Now,
once you pick the gloves out, you mark the gloves with the commission, glove 1 and 2. And then the commission holds the gloves up until the entire time. The team don't even have the gloves. Then the commission brings the glove to the dressing room, and they lace you up in the gloves that you picked out at the fighters meeting the day before. Anything other than that is an unlevel playing field. I just can't believe that happened.
How long, first of all, what's your knowledge of how long it normally takes for the B sample to come back if the A sample is tested positive? And What is your over-under? How long you think we're going to wait for UCAD to give us a definitive answer of Dillian White's B sample?
I think the B test is already back. They just trying to figure out the answer. I think they already know the result.
Normal
They just trying to figure out the answer.
Normal protocol is how long?
It depends on where the B sample is stored. So I don't know where they're doing this testing at. You say about maybe 2-3 weeks is reasonable. Closer to 2 weeks with a situation like this. And the reason why I say closer to 2 weeks is because they knew before the fight that he had tested positive. Am I right? So automatically when you test positive, 99% of the time the team requests his B sample to be tested. So, I mean, this is something that was an ongoing situation before the fight. So, I personally don't believe that they don't have the answer already. I believe they already had the result. At this point, the integrity of the test is jeopardized because they're waiting so long to give the guy an answer. If I'm Revis, I wouldn't even trust it. And I'm going to tell you something else, and that's very rarely in your life are you going to see an A sample and a B sample not the same. I'm not saying it can't happen, but what I am saying it's a very rare occurrence. If you test positive with your A sample, you test positive with your B sample because the blood is taken at the blood and urine is taken at the same exact time from the same exact person. One of them is just being tested and one of them is being stored. So unless somebody did something to the test, it's a very rare occurrence that the test changed, the results changed. You understand what I'm saying? They take them both at the same time. So this waiting for the B sample, if the A sample tested positive, there's a 99.9% chance that the B sample is going to test positive. It's the same exact thing from the same person. So I don't buy it, but you can say that to somebody that don't know no better and they fall for that, but I don't buy that.
So I got a secondary question there, right? Obviously, you know, we have about 46% UK listenership. So they listen to the show, they call in, and they say, why did WBC step in? It's unfair. The tests were conducted by VADA. Dillian White paid his own money for VADA. VADA cleared him of anything. He hasn't popped for VADA. Why would the WBC suspend him until further notice on investigation? What's your stance on the WBC stepping in on this situation overall?
The WBC sanctioned the fight. They had to do it. VADA's not a sanctioning body. VADA's a testing agency. So the WBC sanctioned the fight. So if they want to keep their integrity, they have to do that. So to me, that's just misdirection. There's no such thing as a VADA heavyweight belt. There's a WBC belt. So the sanctioning body who was paid sanctioning fees, they have to step in.
Well,
you understand what I'm saying?
No,
so
I
when
do.
people say that, that's just misdirection. Like VADA can't suspend them or strip them of a belt. They don't have that power. They only have the power to say he was positive or negative.
No,
but
I don't think you're getting
something,
it.
They have that power.
That's what the UK fans are saying. This fight fell under VADA sanction, so it was, it fell under WBC sanction, so it was VADA testing because of the WBC clean program. So if Dillian White popped for UCAD, but he passed all his tests on VADA, why is the WBC stepping in and suspending him per investigation?
I don't know if I buy that either because they do a lot of the testing at the same labs. And to me, it's just too much confusion over this. I understood what you were saying. I don't know if I buy that, Ness, to be honest with you. I don't know. I don't want to say certain things because I got a guy that's active and is at this level now.
Man, you broke up. You went in the hallway. Uh-oh. We lost him. Damn, if we lost him, we done.
What happens sometimes, man?
Because the line is locked. He won't be able to get in unless he's Skyping. Man, I had so much.
Yeah, you had some more for him?
He definitely dropped. Damn, what hell you had more? Bro, listen, he tight with the snack and Nevada people, bro. Like, this is questions we need answers. In general, bro, we could generalize and get a better understanding. Like, bro, it's just, listen, I still wanted to know, like what, like if that was Williams, like what kind of lawsuit we talking about? Like what we putting down on paper? Like what exactly is gonna be this civil suit? You know, remember we rumored all type of shit around here. You know, people thought criminal charges could be pressed on them. So I just wanted to see what a professional. Because he's a manager too, right? So it would have been good to give us his take.
And trainer, so he has a
Yeah, so he got different aspects of it that he can give us his take on. Let me go ahead and go out to the listeners first. Let me get to these sponsors. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. If you're just tuning in or you've been, hit that thumbs up button. It helps with the visibility of the show, helps us get other guests like this, and I think this is like our 5th show today. So if you're going to go for a run today, you got plenty of podcasts to listen to. Let me get out to...
Remember to rate us 5 stars on iTunes.
These calls are brought to you by El Camino Electrical Services, experts in electric vehicle charging stations. For consultations and turnkey installation, visit us at elcaminoelectricalservices.com.
What a guy that said, remember.
What happened, champ?
Never mind, go ahead.
Mr. PBC, baby.
Last time I checked, I was the man on these streets. They call me residue, I leave blow on these beats.
Hey, yo, what's good?
What up, Mr. PBC?
Hey, man. It was good, I got it, man. Yo, what's good, man? Last time I checked, man, he was speaking all that real shit. Hey, he's the realest motherfucking manager, promoter I've done heard. Eddie Hearn ain't got shit on him. And when it comes to Hurd, man, I really don't think he's gonna win this. I never really was a Hurd fan. I don't like how he takes forever to want to, engage. The fight before Williams, he took forever, and that dude wasn't even really known. So I'm not really a Hurd fan. I'm gonna go with Williams. And I don't think he had like a lucky chance. I think that was a will. He studied Hurd. Hurd takes forever, and he unloaded before motherfucking Hurd did. And when it comes to Vada, man, they trying to figure that shit out, just like that dude said. They taking their time to find the right answer. So Mr. Dazn and the UK can find ways to promote Eddie, because they think he's the best of the best, but he ain't. It's Mr. PBC and it's Mr. Al Heyman. And that's my motherfucking call.
All right. Dominic, thanks for calling in. We're going out to Coach Smitty on Skype. What up, champ?
Yo, what up?
What up,
Mitty?
Yo, man, that guy who spoke, I'm guessing he works with Julian Williams, but it was really good. I like what he was saying, dropping like some knowledge around what fighters, or what coaches need to do and get educated about, like not just like the testing side of things, but he spoke a bit about like rehydration and even people dropping a lot of weight, and then I see that too, like straight after the weigh-in, they just go and start eating like pizza or whatever, everything they can get, in their mouth because they've been starving themselves. But that's not really good in terms of putting that good stuff back into your body and being able to fight properly, right? So I like that guy. Hopefully you can bring him back on the show and expand a bit more on those topics, right? But as far as like the fight is concerned, like, I think, some of the stuff that people have said about, other fighters that have lost, right? I think that applies to Jarrett Hurd. Like, Jarrett Hurd needs to figure out how he lost, and I don't think he really knows how he lost against like Julian Williams. So I don't think he's gonna have the answers in the rematch, because like you don't start working on your jab at that level, and so late in your career, right? So you have a fighting style, and it's very difficult to change it fundamentally. Like, so yeah, I think it's gonna be hard for him. We didn't give Julian Williams much of a chance before the fights, but after seeing the first one, I think that it's gonna be the same outcome again. And yeah, that's pretty much what I've got, man.
Already, Mitty. Thanks for that great call. We got a super chat from Daniel Trethway. Inoue versus Donaire for November 7th in Japan. Oops. And we got one from Scat Ranch. Breadman is the truth.
We got Lids Low on the Ringer.
Decatur, Georgia. What up?
Talk to me.
Gotta get your intro shouted for real.
Oh yeah, hey, I hollered at DBI. So yeah, I'm gonna get one shit soon, man. Hey, who I'm calling for? Oh, shout out to Baldy for making me a ringer. That guy 100. But I got Jarrett in the rematch. Now the reason I got Jarrett because I had him in the first match. You remember, just like how AJ didn't look right when he fought Andy Ruiz, which still he was gonna lose anyway. But that's how Jarrett was looking versus J-Rock. Now I ain't taking nothing from J-Rock. He did what he was supposed to do. But Jarrett wasn't there. I don't know what the fuck was going on. Maybe he partied too much. He was at home or whatever the fuck happened. But on the retake, I got Jarrett to take it.
Okay. I did think he looked a little off, but he still went in there and gave a pretty good fight. Up. Who else we got next? You know what I'm saying? Who on tonight?
We got Brandon in Cincinnati. Talk to me.
What up, Brandon? Cincinnati, man.
Hey, man, y'all free me from TBB jail yet?
He can't free you with that whack-ass internet service or phone service you got.
Yo, I can't free you without.
Hold on, can you hear me now?
I can't free you without a YouTube link, so I need like a link.
A link for what?
To get to his channel.
Oh, he got a channel?
Yeah, somebody blocked him. One of our mods blocked him.
Somebody blocked my nigga Brandon? What?
Yeah.
Yeah, one of them TBB clowns, but I can't be mad at them, man. They just doing what it's time.
Man, you gotta
just
get
right,
some
nigga,
internet,
and go
man.
get a new phone.
You talk to us, man.
You go home.
Probably blocked you because you got an Android, man.
Something going on, man.
What the fuck, bro? Call us back. Hang up, man. Oh, no, you know what? He's a truck driver, too, though. He probably in a mountain or something like that.
Fishing or something.
We'll go back to you, Brandon. Just hold off, man. Drive a couple miles up. We going out to Mastermind Supermax. Talk to me.
What up, Joseph?
What up, guys? I came in late, but I caught the last maybe 20 minutes of that. That was a very good interview, man. He answered a lot of questions, especially on the White situation. But I gotta agree with Liz Lowe, man. I think what he said was correct. Maybe Jarrett Hurd was reading too many of his own newspaper clips. So I'm still gonna ride with him in the rematch. But I love fights that are like that are toss-ups. That you don't really know who wins. That's what makes our sport exciting. There's a lot of competition at 154. But yeah, man, just shout out to the guy who was on the line with y'all. Like I said, I don't know who it was, came in late. But informational, man. A lot of good information. And man, yeah, I wish you would have dropped off either in that, so I was really interested. So shout out to you guys for putting the work in today, keeping all of us truck drivers occupied on the road. I love hearing TV while I'm out here working. Shout out to the Four Horsemen. Hopefully y'all do another show so I can have something to listen to while I'm putting in work in the gym afterwards, man. That's my call.
All right, champ. Thanks for listening. Yo, Dan, that's crazy. That means he listened to every show today if he ain't got nothing else. Going out to Boomeranger.
BoxingVoice.com.
It's money to shit. Working that wrist. Ballin' like Swiss. Diamonds wet like a fish. Pull up with them sticks. Come fuck with the clique. We fucked on your bitch. She sucking the dick. I'm whipping the work.
Hey yo, what's going on? It's your boy H Money, Mr. Dazn, the Boxing Voice 2019 Rookie of the Year, and Jarrett Hurd versus Julian Williams. The rematch is definitely a big fight, one of the biggest upsets in recent memory. I mean, Jarrett Hurd was ranked top 10 pound for pound before he took this loss. Julian Williams definitely dethroned him. I feel like Iris Landy Lara, he gave us the blueprint on how you can beat Jarrett Hurd. Jarrett Hurd is definitely one-dimensional. He comes straight forward, no head movement, no defense at all. And he's definitely killing himself to make 154. I got Julian Williams dominating him once again. This time by knockout. Jarrett Hurd won't make it through the whole fight, and definitely Julian Williams should be considered for Fighter of the Year with 2 wins over Jarrett Hurd. You can just mark it down. Julian Williams outboxes him, outclasses him once again. You know what I'm saying? And shout outs to Julian Williams, my Muslim brother, man, who showed you could come back from a loss and continue to be a great fighter. Shout outs to the show, man. We in here.
Yeah, my nigga won no damn top 10 pound for pound. All right, I ain't want to type of call because you had a good flow going, but Jarrett Hurd won top 10 pound for pound, man.
Let me go to Stone Bone Boxing. Stone Bone Boxing.
Stone Bone, what's the business?
What up? What up? Can y'all hear me?
We hear you.
Oh yeah, man. Oh yeah, it was a great interview with Brad, man. He always keep it 1,000 on that. And I kind of agree with y'all on the same day weigh in. All you're gonna get is basically guys moved up one division that they probably should be in. You're gonna have a couple guys that like a Jarrett Hurd who would be Jarrett Hurd would be like 168 instead of 154, but majority of guys would be basically a division up. And this testing thing, man, it's just the UK is desperate. You know what I mean? It's like if your job don't drug test you, right, they send you off to a lab to get drug tested. You know what I mean? So if you fail that test, you saying, hey, I wasn't dirty at work. But no, they test you before you even start the job. And it's crazy that they even let him go in there and fight anyway. So they just need to give it up. I think the longer it takes, they're trying to basically, by the time the ruling come out, his time will be up, suspension and all included, and then he can run around and say, oh, I'm sorry, I made a mistake, and he'll be 6 months in and get a 6-month suspension. You know what I mean? And like he said, that B sample is back. It takes 24 to 48 hours for that test to come back. You can test for 1,000 things with a self-test. So what do you mean? It don't even take 2 weeks. He just didn't want to be highly critical of the timing because of their involvement with, VADA and stuff like that, which they might need a week or two. But like you said, those tests are back. He's dirty. They're just trying to figure out how they're going to cover it.
Cut it.
Teddy B from EC, talk to me.
I'm just calling in. This is gonna be a great fight. Of course, I was at the first fight, which was dope. Great atmosphere. But I'm just wondering why this fight not in Philly. Like that's my whole thing. Like I don't care what no.
Cause neutral ground. They wanted neutral ground.
Man, damn the neutral ground. We had it in DC. I wanted to make that drive up to Philly. I ain't never been. So that's just what I wanted to say. I wanted to drive up to Philly for this one. Or they could have had it like somewhere else neutral, but not in like Atlantic City. What happened in Atlantic City? Why no fight in Atlantic City? Like that's neutral ground.
Cause Atlantic City dead, bruh. Big fights go there to die. Think about it, bruh. Nothing big and has happened there, and everything that was supposed to be big that went there. That shit, like what? Wasn't Bivol like trying to do something or Kovalev? Like it never happened.
Yeah, it was a big fight there last year. I thought
Versus who?
Ward 2 was there.
Really? Hell no, cause I went to Vegas for that shit. I was at the T-Mobile for Kovalev War.
Oh, okay.
My nigga said War Kovalev 2 was in Atlantic City.
Yo, nah, bro, you right though. They should have brought that shit to Atlantic City because they only had like 13,000 in motherfucking T-Mobile, something like that. You know what I'm saying? But thanks for calling in.
Cut it.
Hey.
Don't even thank him, shit.
Troy in Baltimore, talk to me.
What's going on, Troy?
Hey, listen, that was a good interview, man. That was actually a great interview. But everything that brother said, you can't dispute it. You can't dispute it. He's in the business. He knows the business. He's about the business. So it's like no way that you could argue with that man. It's best to just sit there and learn. But I think you mentioned that Hurd should look into getting another coach and something like that. I don't know if you were just throwing it out there, but let me give you a little information. Adrian Davis was not in his corner for the last fight. Adrian Davis has been in his corner for all his fights, but they didn't hire Adrian Davis for the last fight. So maybe if they get brother Adrian back, he'll just see. But he'll teach him some of the things he might have not done in the last fight, and we'll have the championship back here in Maryland. Adrian Davis has trained 15 world champions, one of them being Hurd.
Okay.
So that's my thought on the Hurd fight, man. Now, if he doesn't get, I'm calling the storm if you hear any noise. Now, if he doesn't get brother back in his corner, I think he's going to lose again. And I really think the brother should move up to 168 because I do believe he walks around at 185. Because he's a big
guy.
brother.
He's definitely a big guy.
Yeah, but that's it. That's it, man. Tell him to give Adrian Davis a call, put him back in his corner. Tell him to come to UMar Boxing Gym and do his training and just get out of his comfort zone and come up to Baltimore. And we'll get, and and I guarantee that he will win the championship from J-Rod. I guarantee it.
Okay, Troy. Well, thanks for calling in, big dog.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how likely it is him coming to Baltimore. I'm pretty sure he's gonna be in a setting where he has the most control. So, but yeah, man, great call. I guess we're gonna be playing Hell sound bites today. So. But speaking of getting out of his comfort zone, I would like to see maybe a count in a location where he hasn't been. Has the ability to kind of still like control the element, but not around like this fan presence having because I look it's kind of like he was high fiving people on the way to the ring. Trying to talk over, I cannot.
Nah, leave it open. My bad, Mike. My son right there, man. That's live programming right there. We went to Troy. What was all that background noise with Troy? He was shopping in the rain?
Nah, he in a hailstorm too.
No, I'm telling you, I had got a flash flood warning, man. So it probably was everywhere.
We got one super chat from Teddy B at Scat Rants. I knew a big wars fight was in a AC. Big war fight. He said war versus Frotch was in AC, but that was due to the World Boxing Super Series or whatever it should call.
Yeah, man. They took that site fee. Remember Lou DiBella? All the local promoters was involved in that. Lou DiBella, Gary Shaw. So they had those relationships, man. Rod and A70, talk to me.
What up, Rod?
What up? Hey, first off, man, great interview. That was quite interesting, and that guy was very transparent, and I really liked it. I wish you guys could have kept him on a little longer. Maybe you should try to schedule another one with him. But and you guys made the interview by asking great questions. He was right because you guys were on point with the questions. But I'm always the one where I know we like to stick to X's and O's and talk about strictly boxing, but I'm the type that want you guys to think, and I like to bring a little spice into it, a little culture into it, as I like to call it, where kind of just, gauge how Mike, especially you, because you seem to have a lot to say about the culture piece when I bring them up. But as you guys saw yesterday, and Ness, I'm sure you didn't see it because you don't watch other sports, but LeBron agent Rich Paul, who has become like a super agent, young black guy, I think he's like 38 years old.
What are they trying to ban him for?
But listen. So he's this guy Ness, who he's an agent. He came up with LeBron. Of course, he didn't go to college because he was one of LeBron boys. He learned under LeBron, agent at CIAA. So he learned from the best. It's almost like if somebody come to you to learn how to run a boxing podcast instead of going to a college. You're teaching them. And he becomes a super agent. And so the NCAA, of course, now is saying, hey, now you got to have a degree to be able to approach college basketball players to even, even try to be. So what that does is it takes them out of the mix to initially be able to get that initial contact with potential clients. If you notice how every time a black a person starts dominating a majority white industry, they do it. Now, let me tie this back into boxing real quick before you cut me. If you notice, when Al Heyman became this advisor to all these different boxers, then become a manager, then become a promoter.
I'm fucking with you.
Everybody. Okay. Everybody was trying to sue him and say he was paying these boxers too much. He changing the game. And this is for you and Mike, and I'll go. Why do you guys think that's the case? And do you, if Canelo decided to just make a move, and let's say hypothetically he signed with Al Heyman, do you think we'll see them go back at Al Heyman to try to break up this monopoly he has or something like that? That's my question.
I mean, it's too late, because that's why Al settled. You can't sue for the same thing twice. It's done dilly. Take your money and run. But all boxers will smarten up. Listen, man, shit is, history repeats itself, bro. Oscar left. Floyd left. Pacquiao left.
Bomac was on our airways saying you got a year and a half left.
Not only that,
he was saying he was unhappy how they were promoting Tyson Fury versus Terrence Crawford too.
Nah, but it's not only that, bro. It's just the simple thing that this generation is the generation of the entrepreneur. It's not the traditional Fortune 500 company anymore. So they don't need them. They don't need promoters no more. Why you think Lou on the outside? He knew where we was going. That's why he ain't called back. These dudes listen. So
this money forever though. Like you think when boxers get retired, Al's not gonna use them for like promotion at certain venues and certain places? Let
me tell you who's expendable. Managers are expendable, and so are advisors. But Al has built a personal relationship with fighters.
Managers are expendable though?
I'm gonna explain myself. Al has built a personal relationship with fighters. Every time a fighter says thank you, Al Heyman, that's free promotion, right? Now, how I get to that conclusion, because Cameron Duncan was Terrence Crawford's manager. Mm-hmm. Cameron Duncan was Mikey Garcia's manager.
And you told me the story already.
None of y'all don't even know Cameron Duncan. He was Diego Magdaleno manager, I think. The boy had managers. He managed people. He found talent. All right, he found Terrence when Terrence had dreads. And he had to fucking beg to get him on the network. Okay?
Tell you.
Okay? So he himself is quoted saying he had to get out the manager business because a fighter could cut you. You can't get out of promoter contract, champ. Nope. You stuck here. And every time I get you a title shot, nigga, that's an automatic renegotiation.
That goes back to my point when we argued about this shit a couple weeks ago.
We got verbiage in those promoter contracts that'll slave a fighter, and that's why Al has broken those chains. Listen, before Al, people can hate on Al all they want. They can call me a fanboy all I want. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not even a pro-black, bro. That's not me. But I love to see what he done because people said he couldn't do it. And before him, there just wasn't no Daniel Jacobs. There wasn't no Crawfords. There wasn't no Earls. There wasn't no Wilders. There wasn't no black fighter. It was just Floyd. Floyd, Whitaker, Mosley, Vernon Forrest. That's how in between, Winky, right? You know what I'm saying? They were opponents. Forget how many they were. They were opponents. Floyd was an Oscar opponent, okay? Winky Wright was an opponent forever, had to go overseas. Whitaker got job. Frankie Randall got job, right? Versus Chavez or vice versa, something like that. But look,
Frankie Randall is.
Opponents. They were opponents, and Al changed that shit. But we talked about everybody. We out. That being said, that's DGO, Instagram and Twitter. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Catch us on the next one. You never know. It's just like our 5th or 6th show today.
Follow me on IG at Gross1911 or on Twitter at Gross2312. Well, you can catch me being pro-black, I tell you that. But I'm just fucking with this. Yeah, man.
I'm just saying, I like what he done, man. Like,
But like
It's
I like
changed
when I
things.
see anybody doing for themselves and not being in the constraints of a 9 to 5 or
It just even the playing field, bro. Listen to what Breadman said. He said, if you see a guy on the network, he getting 2 to 3 million. You think that was the normal? Man, look at some of them HBO purses, man. Some of them little flyaways, poor dudes still making 25,000. You know what I'm saying? So it's unfair. But let me bring H Money back on the boomerang. What up?
H Money, talk to her.
Yo, I just want to give a shout out to Julian Williams, unified world champion at 154, currently holds the IBO, IBF, and WBA world titles, man. This guy is strapped up like a mother, man. And I just want to say, man, Ness, that first fight, I mean, Jarrett Hurd, he got beaten up so badly, man. A lot of damage he took in that fight with shots to the head, man. We all know the head is not meant to be hit, like Deontay Wilder says. Shots to the body, man. I mean, I felt like the corner should have stopped the fight or the referee should have stopped it. I don't think Jarrett Hurd is the same. I don't think he's the same. The confidence is gone, Ness. You know what I mean? To take a beating like that in your hometown, come on, Ness. I mean, that shit was vicious. It was a savage beating he took, and I don't see him coming back. Damaged goods, Jarrett Hurd, man. Overrated hype, Ness. Overrated hype. And I just want to say, Virgil Ortiz, this Saturday, 13 wins, 13 knockouts, undefeated, man. You know what I mean? Mexican sensation. He's up next. Only 21 years old. Tune in. Everybody check him out on Dazn this Saturday. Great show. We in here.
Yo, man, you could be one of the best callers, bro, if you turned the volume down just a bit. And if you stop doing exactly what Julian Williams said, you condemning fighters, man. How you going to call Jarrett Hurd overhyped? Like, he got a great little resume, man. He took his first loss, and you already calling him overhyped. He doing an immediate rematch, and you calling him overhyped. Like, overhyped would have been taking that loss and getting another loss, not taking the rematch, you know what I mean? Ducking and dodging, but like, he got a great resume, you know? He beat the shit out of Laura, in my opinion. Good fight. Beat Trout. Good fight. Beat Harrison. Good fight. You know, beat Frank Galarza. Good secondary win. Oscar Molina, Olympian. Good secondary win. JoJo Dan, at least a name that's been in the ring with Selchuk Aiden and Kell Brook. Like, bruh, he got names on his resume, and he started the hard way, bruh. Remember that. He wasn't an Earl Spence that went to the Olympics or nothing like that. You know? He was a local talent that came up in his area, you know, of Washington, just putting it in the hard way, you know? And then they seen and noticed him. And then they signed him.
Deloach or something like that. The Roach, something like that.
He fought Austin Deloach?
The dude with the light skinned dude.
When he fought Deloach, bro, I don't see that shit. Wilding right now, man. I know Deloach, man.
Maybe I'm thinking about somebody else.
You sure thinking about somebody else, man. But I'm out. That's GTO, Instagram, and Twitter. Peace.
Yep. Cross 1911. Cross 2312. Peace out.